Hello developers, welcome back to the channel. Today we'll be creating the final screen of the series, the player screen. As you can see, there are many components in the player screen, so it will take a little extra time for completing this. But if you stick with me, we'll go through every step.
So in the last lesson, we were done with the library screen, and once we click on any playlist, we were sending the playlist ID along with the route. So if you press on one of the playlists, the ID of the specific playlist will be sent to the next screen. So as you can see, we use the React Router DOM use navigate hook to send this as a state, the ID as a state. So to catch this ID, we'll also use the same React Router DOM hook, which is called use location, which we have previously used to. So earlier we were just taking the path name from the location object. Now we'll be using the state from the location object. So let's see how it goes. So firstly, we'll go to the player screen, and inside the player folder, we'll create another file called player.css for the styles, and import the same for styling our file. So we'll import player.css. All right. Now inside our player component, we'll have two divs. The first div will be called the left player body, and the other div would be called the right player body. Now to get the state, what we'll do is we'll make a constant called location, and we'll use the use location hook from React Router DOM. So we'll quickly import the hook. This will be location. Save this. Now if I log this location object, we can see that it has a. We'll quickly log it. Go to the console and see what it has. So it is an object. And that object has a path name which we used earlier, and a state, another object called state, and the state has an ID. All right. So we'll remove this, and we'll make a use effect hook to make an API call using that. Okay, inside the use effect, we'll check if the location dot state is present. All right, then we'll make an API call. For API call, what we'll do is we'll use the API kit that we've created, the API client from Spotify.get. And the URL that we'll be using is the API that we'll be using is this. So inside the console of the Spotify developers, you can go to the playlist, and inside that you can see there's this get a playlists item. So if you go to this link, you can see that the URL has a playlist ID inside it. So all you have to do is copy this part, because the rest of the part is already inside the base URL set at Axios line. So we'll take this, we'll go here, paste all of this here, and what you can do is we'll after this add a plus sign, and this playlist ID we'll get from the location.state. Right. So we'll write location.state.id and add a question mark operator which checks if state is present, then only it will search for ID. Otherwise, it will just give you an undefined and it won't crash the application. Use effect, we'll go to use effect from React. Okay. You can save this. So you can see location.state. Yeah. So you can add location.state here. So whenever location changes, it will rerun this and set different playlist ID and fetch a new playlist for that. Okay, so after this get, we can write the .then statement. So the then we'll take the response. For now, we'll simply just log it and see what we are getting. Console.log, and we'll press stop data. Right. Now, if we go to the app again, there's an error. So we'll check the network tab, what error we are facing here. So the error that we are getting is, if we check this one, invalid playlist ID. Alright, so it says the playlist ID is invalid. Let me quickly check what is the URL that we are sending. Alright, so okay, so we are by accident we are adding a space at the end. So right, this is the space that ampersand, that this modulus 20 means a space inside a URL. So this meant a space. Right, now you can see we are getting the response, and we are getting all the tracks. So inside the console we'll be getting the tracks. So these are the items, and the items of all the 6 tracks. Correct. So to keep, so here we'll be requiring 3 states. The first state will be called the tracks, which will hold all the tracks that we are fetching from for the playlist, and it will be an empty array at the beginning. We'll use new state hook and make it an empty array at the beginning. Another one would be the current track, which will hold the current track so that we can play it. This will be an empty object. And the last one will be the current index. This will be required to make changes to the current track, to go to the previous track or to go to the next track and all. This will be required for that. Alright. So inside the then statement, what we'll do is we'll set tracks as a response of data dot items, as we just saw in the response that it was under items, and the set current track would be the items, the 0th element. And if you see inside the object, so it has items, and each item has a track object inside it. So the track object is the actual track that is going to be played. All the album artist details and the link to play it will be inside the track. So the 0th and the track. Alright. So this will be and the current index will be 0 initially. Now our left body will be having a player at the top and a widget object at the bottom, which will display things like recently played and related artists and the newly added songs, etc. And the right body will be having a song card, which will display all the album info and a queue at the bottom. Alright. So firstly we'll make this song card component, and the next thing we'll be making is the queue component. So let's quickly go to the components folder and make these. Inside the components, we make another folder and name it queue. And another component which will be called the song card. Alright. Right. Inside the song card, we make the index.js file and the song card.css file. This will be RFC React function will be made, and we'll quickly import the CSS file here. Songcard.css. Alright. You can make this songcard. This is song card 2. Alright. And inside the key component also, we'll do the similar thing and make a index with JS type. Yeah, all set up. Now let's go back to the player screen and import these two so that there is no error. Song card and the key. Both of them are imported. Let's go back here. It says use state is not defined. Alright, we'll quickly go here. Use state. Okay, so song card and key both are here. So now go to the CSS file of this. First of all, I close all these files that are close to the right. And I'll open player.css. I'll target the left body, left player body, and I'll give it a width of 68%, a margin right of 2%, and a height of 100%. Alright, and the right player body will be having a width of 30% and a height of 100%. Alright. So something is off. Taking a width. Where is it going? Oh, alright. These are not. This is going under it. So sorry, my bad. So what we'll do is we go to our global styles and see. Alright, so this was not display a flex container, so we'll go to a player only, and inside after the screen container, we'll also make a global style called flex. Alright, and what flex will do is it will be a class called flex. What this will do is this will just set the display to flex, a simple class. So inside the player now we'll add another class called flex. Alright, so as you can see, these are both now side by side. The 2% margin, the 68%, and the 30%, which total will make 100%. Alright. So this will be a column. We don't have to make this a flex, but to make this, to add a particular space between these, to add the space between, just to contain space between for these, we'll have to make it a flex again. Okay. So we'll go to player.css. The right body will be a display of flex. Flex direction will be column because by default it is row, and to justify content will be a space between. Alright. So now you can see song card is on the top and Q is at the bottom. Now let's start creating the song card first. So the song card will have the album info to it. That means the image of the album, the name of the album, the artist name, and the date when it was released. Alright. These are the things that it will have. So inside the song card, we'll add a class name, song card body. And we'll open the song card CSS also. So song card body will have a width of 100% and a height of 62%. Then we'll add a background color, which will be this, and we'll add a border radius of 30 pixels. 30 pixels, same as that of the full screen. Alright. Now let's see how it looks like. Okay. So this looks like this. Now we want this corner to be a straight corner and not a border radius 0. And the cue card that will come down here will also be the same, rounded at 3 corners, and this corner will be a 0, border radius of 0. Right? So the border border bottom right radius. The bottom and the right radius will be 0 pixels. Alright, so this is it. Next, we'll go back to the song card. So our song card will be having two main components. First, the image at the top and all the description at the bottom. So the first one will be an album image component. Alright, and the next one will be album info. So we'll save this and we'll go back to the player component and we'll pass in the whole album, the current album. Alright, so the current album will be current track dot album, track dot album. So if you quickly go here to inspect this with the console, see the object inside each item, inside each current track, there is an album object, and that album object has the all the artists that have sung the song and all the images associated to it. Alright, so as you can see, there is the image that we will be needing. We'll be using the tallest image for the album info because it's a very big component. So we'll use the 0th element. So it will be album, and inside that images and the 0th and the URL for that. Alright. So first of all, we'll just simply send it to song card, and inside the album image, what we'll be sending is the URL, and the URL will be let's quickly import the props, then the album, not images, and the 0th element and the URL of it. And for the info, we'll again pass the whole album. Like quickly inside the song card component only, we'll make two more files: the album image .js and the album info.js. Alright, and the CSS file for this. Now let's first go to the album image RFC. Make the file, capitalize the first letter, and import the CSS file. Import album image.css. Save it. Now we'll go to the album info CSS. Now inside the album image, we'll split this to the right. Right. Inside the album image, first of all, let's see how the okay. So there's an error. We'll quickly go back to the song card file and import these two: album image and album info. Save it. Refresh the page. Something is wrong. Inspect inside the console. Repository of images. Alright. Right. So now let's just add the question mark operator so that we can check if the thing is present or not. Alright. So we're getting it now. Refresh it once. Inspect inside the console. Let's see, there's no error. Alright. So we're getting the album image, album info, both of these here. To check if it is working fine, we'll go to the album image, we'll take in the URL prop, and we'll simply log it to see if it's coming. Okay, inside the URL and inside the console. Okay, alright. So we're getting the URL here. So the first thing. So the thing that we are going to do here is we'll be creating a Glassmorphic shadow under the image. So let's see what Glassmorphism is. If you search for it, Glassmorphism, you'll see that what Glassmorphism is, it's like a glassy effect. It's adding a glassy effect to any object inside the screen. All right, like this. We can see through it. It's blurry. The background is blurry, but it's barely visible. All right, so this is like a translucent glass. So we'll be using that for the shadow. We'll be making a translucent shadow for our album image. So to make it, firstly, inside the parent div, we'll make two divs. The first one will be named as album image, and the other div will be named album image shadow. All right. It will be holding a image. The source will be URL, yes, and it will be album art. We'll give it a class name, album image. Album image art. You can call this just a name, any class name that we know. And inside this one, it will be called. There will add another image. The URL will be same. The alt will be shadow, and this will be album image shadow. All right. Now let's see. Okay, we're getting the image here. Now inside this, so we'll write album image. We'll give it a width of 80%, 50%. Display. We'll add a display flex to this. So for that, we'll simply add the flex class and write align items. Align items center and justify content center. All right. So what we have to do is we'll add the above, the bigger image above, and under this we'll add the shadow image. All right. So this div will go inside the previous div, inside the album div only. We'll remove the outer div. So currently we are styling the main div, which is called the album image. Right. So it should have all the contents one under the other. So we'll give it a position of absolute, position of relative, and we'll give the position of absolute to the shadow image. All right. So next we'll go to the album art image, album image art. Sorry, album image art. What we can do is we can just make it album image. And we can target the image tag simply. Give it the stylings. Okay. So what it will have is it will have a border radius of 30 pixels, same as that of the body. Next, it will have a height. We'll give it a width of 100% and an aspect ratio of 1 to make it a square image. All right. So go ahead. Okay, so you can see the image is here and it's of the right size. So what we have to do is we have to set the display to flex for the outer sound card body and make it align item centers. Okay, so we'll quickly go back to the soundcard.css, and inside this only we'll give it a display. All right, so sound card. If we go to the sound card's body, we can add a flex class with this, and inside the sound card CSS, we can write justify content as center and align items as center. And this will make a flex will be a row, but we need it as a column, so we'll write extraction to be of call, right? Now you can see it's at the center and the album info is under it. Now currently you cannot see the image that is coming under this, alright? So we'll go back here and rather than doing this, what we can do is we can do album image and the image tag under it, alright? Otherwise it will affect all the global images. Inside the album, now we'll go to the album image shadow, alright? And for the shadow, we'll give it a width of 90%. So it will be 90% of 80%, 90% of this, alright? Now this will be a shorter image. We'll give it a position of absolute, and we want this container to be above and this to be below. So what we can do is we can give it a z index of 1 and this a z index of -1. Okay, so much I think 25 will be just enough, right? Yeah. So top of 25 works fine for us. Now what we have to do is we have to blur this part so that it looks like a glassy effect, a glassy shadow under this, alright? So we'll go ahead and add a WebKit filter. WebKit filter, which will have a blur property and we'll have it 10 pixels, alright? This is an element random before it is displayed in the document. Now you can see it's blurry and it looks like it's a glassy effect. We'll also add a filter property of blur 10 pixels. Now you can see it looks like a glassy effect, glassy shadow. I think we can make it 20 pixels so that, yeah, now it looks fine. It's coming under this and a perfect glass shadow is obtained. Alright, so this is how we make a glassy shadow. The next inside a song card would be the album info card. So we go to the album info. Inside the album info, we'll have three main things. The first thing will be the album name. So the first thing will be a div, and this will be album name container, which will be having a p tag, and the p tag will be having the album name inside it. The next div will be having the album info. This will be we'll create as Spotify is not giving a particular description for each album, we'll be creating it on our own. This will also have a p tag inside it, and then last will be a div, and this will be album release, and it will be having a p tag that will show us when the album was released. Alright, so if we quickly import the album and log it to see what all info we are getting, so we can log album, we can inspect and see what all we are getting. Alright, inside the console, we're getting the album type, the artists, the album markets, the album images. The images we have already used, the release date, alright, the total number of tracks, and the name. So if we go back and see write album.name, we'll get the name of the album, alright. So in the first step, we write album name. We got the name lost only in that. Okay? And also with this, what we'll be adding is the name of the artist with this. All right. So this will become plus sign, a space, and a dash, plus sign. So as you can see, artist is not one single artist. It can be an array of artists. All right. So we can simply control an array of artists. So we can map over it and create a single string out of it. All right. So before this, we make a constant called artists, make it an empty array. Then we go album dot artist dot for each, and we'll push the name of each element. So if we go to artist, there is an element and it has a name. All right. So we'll go element dot name. So we'll keep on pushing artist dot push element dot name to it. All right. The question mark operator will do the thing trick. And if we write plus artists and then a dot, and if we join all the elements using a comma. All right. So you can see the name of the artist is coming here. All right. So this is working. The next thing is album info. So for the album info, there's no specific description coming from back. So what we will create a description on our own. So we'll be making, what we'll do is, we'll write and first the name of the album. So it will be album that name is, then we'll write the album dot type. So we can quickly check what is the way of getting the album type here. In the object, we have a key called album type. Album type with, we write the total number of tracks. So total tracks is a total tracks key. Create album dot total. Now that album dot total tracks. And at the end we will write track, and can be plural, so tracks. Last one use is single. Okay, is a single. You can write by. You can add artist or join again. By artist join. Alright. Last is using single by LP with 3 tracks. So this is a custom created description for this. At the end, we will be having release date, and it will be release.album date. Yeah, we're getting the album date. Alright. When we embrace just a simple block statement will work. Okay, let's quickly style these things. So first of all, let's give a class name to the whole div containing all the album info and call it album info card. This will be album info card and give it a margin top of 20 pixels. Let's make it 10 pixels for now. Next, we don't, all of the p tags have a predefined margin, so we don't need those. We'll be giving custom margins. So for now, let's make the margin for all p tags to be just margin top, the margin of 0 pixels. Alright, make it important. Okay, so this is we need a bit more margin because it's coming under the shadow. We make it 20 pixels. Yeah, this is the right way. The next thing we'll go into the album name container and give it a font size of 20 pixels and a font weight of 700 and a color. This will be the way. Alright, this is looking good. Now for the next part, album info. Album info, or you can call it album description. I call this the font size. It will be 14 pixels and the font weight will be 500. So now let the color be the same. We'll change it in a bit. And at last, the album release. So the album release, it will be, let's copy this, paste it. The size will become 12 and this will be 400. Alright. Okay, this is looking good. So the album container, to fix this, we can give it a margin, a bit of margin. Instead of 0, we can give it to be 5 pixel on the other side, auto on the sides. Alright, this is looking good. For the, I think the album release container can have a margin top of 10 pixels. Yeah, this is looking fine. Now we would like this to not exceed 2 lines, 2 or maximum to 3 lines. Alright, so that the container size does not increase it. So we can use the same thing that we are using inside the library card for these, the line clamp property. So we'll use the similar property here also. So okay, this is going out of bounds here, so we'll have to set the size, the width of the container to be 80%, just like the image. Alright, so here we'll specify the width to be 80%. Yeah, now this is all good, and we'll clamp the line size to 2 lines only, so that because this is the perfect size that it should go beyond. Alright, we'll clamp the size of this too. No, for this we'll add an animation where it will start rolling like a banner if it exceeds the size, and for this we'll use the WebKit line clamp property. So inside the album info, we'll specify overflow. Right. So now this won't exceed 2 lines, and everything will be inside this. So at the end, what we'll do is we'll change the color of these two from this, and we'll add the animation of the rolling banner here. make this text come in one line, and whenever it is more than the width, we will make it move from left to right in a marquee way. It's called a marquee, text marquee. So for that, let's start by first we'll wrap the inner p tag inside a div with a class name called marquee. You can name it anything. I'm making a marquee because this technique is called marquee. Now, in the album container, name container, firstly, we'll give it a width of 100%, and we'll display the overflow, set the overflow as hidden. Alright. Now, we'll make the marquee class. We'll write white space, no wrap, so that the text does not wrap to the next line. Okay. See, it's not wrapping to the next line. Now, what we'll do is we'll set the display as an inline block. The next thing we'll do is make the animation. So for that animation, make the keyframes. So we'll write keyframes, add a name to the animation, then add 0%. At 0%, will add a transform and translate in the x direction. Translate in the x direction to 0, right? And at 100%, we'll again write transform, translate x to minus 100%. Now we'll add this inside animation marquee with 12 seconds, a linear and infinite. Open this up, and you can see that the text is now moving from left to right. And once the whole text is out of the picture, you can see it comes back. But it's suddenly coming back, it's not coming from the right. So for that, what we'll have to do is we'll have to add a padding of 100% to the left side, a padding left of 100%, so that it can go to the left side. I mean, now the container would be till here, so that the text can go till here and again come from here. Earlier it was just whenever the last point hit this point, and the whole text used to come here. So now we have a complete marquee animation, you can see, and it looks pretty good too. Now we'll quickly change the color of these texts. So for that, we'll go here in the album info, remove this color and add the new color, and inside the album release also we'll add the new color. Okay, this is completed. Now we'll go ahead and make the queue component. So for the queue component, I'll again use the CSS Patterns website that we saw inside in the previous video, and I'll be giving it a background pattern, and then we'll be adding the tracks that we got from the playlist API and add all those tracks there. Now let's open our queue component and open this to the side. Inside our queue, let's give it a class name queue container. Let's save this, go to queue container. Let's give it a width of 100% and a height. The previous one, the top part was 62%. So let's make it 55% so that there's a 3% margin in between. Then let's give it a border radius of 30 pixels, same as the one above, and we want the top corner, this part of the queue card, to be of 0 border radius. Okay, so this would be the top right border, top right radius into 0. Right. Now I am going to apply a background pattern from the CSS pattern website. You can create your own, or you can copy from the GitHub. So I've already copied it and I'll paste it here. So this would be the background. Let's see how it looks. So this is how it will look. Now let's give it a display. For display flex, I can quickly add the flex class here, and I'll have to give it a flex direction of column and justify content center and align icon center. Right. So our queue container is completed. As you can see, this is a very good looking background CSS pattern. You can copy it from the GitHub repo. I'll be pasting the link for it in the description. Alright, now let's go ahead and make all the queue entries inside this. So our list container, our queue component will be requiring two props. One will be the number of all the tracks, and the other thing will be the set current index, so that we can change the index. We can change the track using our queue component only. Okay, so we'll go to the player, and from our player we'll pass in the tracks and the set current index is equal to set current index. Okay. Now let's destructure those props here. Tracks and set current index. Alright. So once we have the queue wrapper ready, the next thing we'll have is a heading, called up next, and a list under that. Okay. So we'll make a div, class name queue, inside the we'll go queue, give it a height of 85%. Right. We'll give it a display. We'll give it display flex by adding the flex class here. Sorry. Display flex will be there. The flex direction will be column, and the justify content will be flexing space between, so that the heading and the list is separated out. Alright. Now inside this, firstly we'll have a p tag which will have a list, and the next will be a div that will wrap all the queue list, which will wrap all of our all of our songs. So firstly the P will have a class name up next, and it will have a text called up next. So up next, it will have a font size of 20 pixels, the font weight in bold of 700, and the font color would be the same as the one we had for album info. So inside the album info, the name would be, or we can simply keep it white because the background is very blue. So let's set the color to be white. Alright. This is up next, and we will make it text align to the left. So we are going to the left, I guess, because let's set the margins margin to be 0 pixels, and a width of 100%. Still it is not going to the left. Now I don't know why. Okay. We can take we can take our width of 100% from here and add it to the queue and make it 80%, just like the card above it. Alright, now it will be left. Alright, and instead of this, we can make it 10 pixels on top and bottom and auto on the sides. Instead of auto, we can keep it 0 pixels. Alright, okay, this was good. Now after this, we'll make the list container. Inside the list container, we'll map over the tracks. Tracks.map, and we'll get a track. Inside this, we'll display a small div which will have p tag that will display the track name, and another p tag that will display the track duration. Alright. So firstly, let's target the queue list. Give it a height. Height of 80% of the 80% of whatever the container size is, and we'll set the overflow of y as auto. So whenever it's more than 80%, it will have a scroll, and if it's less than 80%, it won't have a scroll. Alright. So inside this track, let's first of all let's log our tracks. Alright. Log. So to see what all data we are getting with the tracks. So if we go to the console, we can see there's an array of tracks. Inside each track, there is an added by, and inside the track, there is a component called track, and we just need the name of the track. So it will be track dot name, and we need the duration of it. So in duration in millisecond is this. Alright. So we'll go here. Inside the first thing, we'll add track dot name. I'll add a question mark so that it doesn't give us an error. Also, I'll add question mark there. Okay, so we've got the list of all the names. Now we'll give it a class name called track name, and give it a width of 80% so that we can add so that if the name is bigger, we can still add the duration in front of it. Alright. So we'll write track name and give it a width of 75% and overflow, and the text overflow we can set it to ellipsis. For some reason it's not working. The track name is this. Alright, the queue list has a height of and a width of 100%. So we'll have to give it a class name of Q item. Above Q item, give it a width of 100%. Still something is off, so let me quickly check what is happening here. Alright, this text already has a 70%. Okay, this is working. I couldn't see it, it's working. It has 75%. For the rest of the screen, I'll add. Alright, so Q item, it would be Q item. Inside the Q item, we have a display flex, so I can add the flex class, and the justify content would be stay with me. Alright, so if you see now, the later div is at the very far end. Now you can see there's a lot of space between this, so we can simply target the Q item and all the p tags inside it and set the margin to margin to 0 pixels. Alright, now this is fine. And inside the Q item only, we'll add a bit of padding on top and bottom, which will be 4 pixels, and on the sides it will be 0 pixels. Okay, so this is looking fine. Alright, so in the Q item, we'll set the font size to 12 pixels and the font weight to 400. 500 would be fine, I guess. 500, and the color would be white hell. Okay, this is looking fine, I guess. We can make this 14 pixels. It looks quite small now. Yeah, this is fine, and we can add a bit more padding, and we can make this 5 pixels on both sides. Yeah, this is perfectly fine, and we can scroll it too. All right. Now let's add the duration at the end. So this would be the duration, and as you saw, we can for now we can just add a duration of 30 seconds. Later we'll add it based on, okay. So you can see all of them have a duration now. Now while you are hovering it, it should be a pointer, so you can go to the Q item, add a cursor as a pointer. Now, and I would also like to add a hover effect so that you know which song you are hovering on. Alright. So inside the Q item, we hover, then let's add a transform and scale it down a bit, not up, let's scale it down a bit. Now you can see, you know which song we are hovering on. And to make it a bit smooth, we can add transition or 0.2 seconds ease. Yeah, this is looking pretty great. Now on the Q item, we can add the on click function, and on each on click, you can simply set the correct index. Set correct index as the track index. As the index of this track and that track will be same, so we can simply set the current index as the index of the selected item. There's an error coming. No, we must have one parent element. So alright, I'll accidentally remove this. Okay, so now I believe it is setting the current index to that. nothing is being changed. So let's quickly see what is happening here. So inside the player component, as you can see, the song has a current track. Okay, so to change the current track on every change, we can make a use effect, and inside the use effect, inside the dependency array, you can add current index. So whenever the current index changes, it will automatically set the current track with the tracks, the current index dot track. All right. It says here nothing you can remove tracks. All right, you can change do it tracks. Now if you change it, all right. Now if you change, the song is changing. You can see. Okay, so our queue is working and our component with the song info is also changing. So now we can move on to the player component. Okay, the last thing is that you can hide this ugly scroll bar on the side so that it doesn't look bad, and you can see it's currently coming over our duration also. So you can remove this by using a property called WebKit scroll bar. So if you go to queue list and to WebKit scroll bar, then you can set the display to none. Now if you can see, there's no scroll bar there. So queue component is also done and it's functional also. The next thing we'll make is the player component. It's a very big component, so stay tuned and pay all the attention you can so that you get it grasp it well. To start with the music player audio player component, let's firstly go to the player screen, and inside the left body, let's add a component called audio player and now let's start by making it. So we'll go to our components folder and make a new folder here called audio player. Inside audio player, let's do the obvious things and the index and the CSS file. Use this index.js and the audio player of CSS file. In the index.js RFC to create a new file, call it audio player, and import the CSS file here. Alright, now we'll go back and import this. Okay, so you can go ahead and check it out, right? So inside the audio player, we'll have two parts, the left body and the right body. The left body will be having a progress circle, which we'll create ourselves, and the right body will be having the name and the controls. So let's begin. Firstly, let's give this a class name of player body. Now move our audio player to this side. You can close all the other screens. Alright, inside the player body, we'll have the first div as a player left body. Just a second, you quickly check if you give the name same right player body. Alright, this is the different player left body, and another div called the player right body. Alright, so inside our player left body, we'll simply have a progress circle which will take props like percentage and keep it to 75 initially. And later on, when we'll add the whole functionality for the playing the song, then we'll change it to the current percentage of the song. We'll also send a prop called is playing to see. We'll keep it to true for now. Another thing, we'll send the image of the currently playing track. So you can already tell that the current track will be one of the things that will be passed down to this component. Then we'll have a size, so that we can specify the size of the progress circle that we need. So I'll keep it 300 for now. And the last thing will be the color of the progress bar that you need. So we'll be keeping it stack C9 6850. Okay, so let's quickly pass down the current track here. Current track is equal to current track. We'll get the current track, and from the current track dot images, the 0th image dot URL. We'll add the checks so that we don't get an error. Okay, now let's quickly make the progress circle component. Alright, now let's quickly check it out. It's not alright. Let's quickly go to our player and import this. Alright, progress circle is there. Now let's quickly style the player component a bit so that we can go ahead and make the progress circle. So we'll target the player body first. It will be having a width of 100%, a height of 44% of the screen, display flex. For display flex, I can add the flex class. Flex direction will be row. By default, it's row. So I'll specify a margin of 3% on top and bottom, and then 0% on both the sides. Alright. Let's save it. It is an error. Let's check it out. Reading 0, particular component. Alright, it's not getting the current track right now. So we'll just remove this for now. Not send anything. Comment it out. Alright, the progress circle is here now. Now let's go ahead and give a width to the player left body. Player left body. The width for this will be 37%. Now let's style the player right body. The player right body will be having a width of 67%, 63%, the remaining width. Since it will be having all the names and the controls, so it is having a greater width, while the progress circle will just be a progress bar, circular progress bar, so we're giving it just a width of 37%, alright? Okay, so now let's go ahead and make the progress circle. Inside the progress circle, we'll be having all the props that we made here. You can simply copy these and remove the values there. Destructure it, percentage, comma, explain true, comma, and the color will also be gone. Alright, sorry, sir. Alright, so inside, right before our return statement, we'll have to perform certain actions. So before our August circle, we'll make another component called circle, which will take props called color, the percentage, the size, which we got, all these, and the stroke width. And from that, it will create. So first of all, we'll set the radius of the circle that we are going to make. So for this circle, as the size would be the size of the entire SVG component, so our radius would be the half of it. And since we are giving a stroke to our outer circle, so the stroke might get out of the SVG, so we'll keep it a bit less than half of the entire size. All right, so we'll keep it size divided by 2 minus 10. All right, let's save it. This will be our radius. Then we'll create another constant called circle size, short form for circle, and this will hold the entire circumference of the circumference of the circle that we are going to do. So this would be 2 into math.pi into r, 2 pi r being the radius of circumference of the circle, and minus 20, because we don't want a complete circle to make the ending and the starting, differentiate between the ending and the starting of the song. We are keeping it a bit less than the entire circumference. All right. So the next would be the stroke width. This will specify what is the current percentage of the song played. Okay, so this will be stroke percentage, and this will be equal to 100 minus mat.pi mat.round, or my mistake, mat.round, and we'll round off the percentage that we are getting, minus it and multiply it with the circumference. And at the end, we'll divide this whole number by 100 to get the complete percentage of stroke available. Now we have all the things that we require. Now we'll make the return statement, and it will return an SVG circle. So the SVG circle is made like this. It has props like radius. This way it will take in radius. It has a CX, which represents the X position of the center of the circle. So it will keep it to 50% so that it goes to the center of the SVG component that we are making. The CY will also be 50%, so that it is at the exact center. The fill would be transparent, as we don't need any fill at the center, we just need the boundaries. So it will be transparent. The stroke will be the stroke, if we have a stroke percentage present and the stroke percentage is not equal to the circle, which means that it is not if it is not 100%, right? The stroke percentage that we have to show, it is not equal to the whole circumference, then we should display the color, else we should not display the color. Should keep an empty string. Alright. No, it's an error. Let me see the parser quickly to find let's close the circle so that it doesn't give us this error again and again. not find name circle. With this, you can ignore this error for now because this is an SVG circle and it will make sense once we place it inside an SVG component. Okay, so the next thing is the stroke width. We'll simply give the stroke width. Stroke width is nothing but the how thick you want your stroke to be. Right, now state this should be inside the surface. Another thing will be stroke dash array. So the stroke dash array is a stroke dash array is a if you want dashes to be present inside your inside the stroke, then you provide an array. So in the stroke dash array, we'll simply give the whole circumference so that we don't want any dashes. We'll give circ. The next thing will be stroke dash offset. So the stroke dash offset will take in this check if we have a percentage present. If we have a percentage present, then it will take the stroke percentage, stroke PCT, or else it will just be 0. Alright. And at the end, we'll have a stroke line cap. What do we want our stroke line to be look like? So the caps at the end would be round. Alright. Let's save this. Okay, this array is null because I didn't add it. Yeah, it was due to the long brackets. Alright, this should be closed. Now this is perfect. Now let's go ahead. We have the circle made already. So now we'll go ahead and make the progress bar. Alright. So inside the first div, let's give it a class name. Class name progress cycle. Inside this, we'll create an SVG component with a width and height of size and size, right? We want a square SVG component. Now inside this is a tag that we use to draw things, and inside the G we'll create two circles, the circle component from above. The circle will have a stroke width so the first stroke width will be equal to 0.4 rem. This will be the one inside, the blank line, and the above one would be the other one would be the filled line, which will show what is the current percentage of the song. Right? So the color that we give it will be hashtag 3D4 F73. Alright, and the size will be equal to the given size. And then another circle with a stroke width of 0.6 rem and the color equal to color. And since this will be having a percentage, so we'll give a percentage as the required percentage, and the size will be equal to size. Alright. Now let's see what. Okay, R is not defined. Where are we having R? We have a radius. Alright. This should be radius. Okay, so this is what it will look like. Alright, and currently we gave the percentage to be percentage. Okay, we are getting the percentage to be completely filled, right? But we are sending just 75%. Something is bit off here. Let's quickly check a little. Percentage into circle. All right. This is the error. I should have added 2 brackets here because we want the difference of this to be multiplied by a circle. All right. Okay, the mistake is this. This should be in small. Yeah. Now you can see it's 75% of the entire screen. Now we want this to be at the bottom, so we'll transform this and rotate it a bit. Okay. So let's go to the right side of this and open the progress circle CSS. You can close this for now. So inside the progress circle CSS, we'll go ahead and target circle so that all the entire circle, not the class, but the circle component. Now transition all to 1 second so that whenever there is a change in the percentage, it is in a smooth fashion. Then we'll add a transform and rotate it by 93 degrees. And transform origin so that from what point it should rotate, keeping what point at center. So transform origin will be the 50%, which will make it to the center. All right. Okay. So this is at the center. Now this is fine. Now the next thing that we'll do is we'll target the progress circle and first let's give it a flex property, and here let's add justify content center and align item center. Alright, now this is in the correct position and it is not too close to the neckline. Alright. Also, let's give it a flex direction of column. No, that's not required right now. This is perfect. The next thing that we'll do is we'll add an image of a vinyl record so that whenever we are playing a song, it should just rotate and there's an effect that the song is playing. And we can add this image at the center of it. Right. So we'll go ahead, and for that to function, like to add an image inside a circle, we'll have to use something called clip path. Okay, so we'll go ahead. Now after the G, we'll stop drawing and write defs. Inside the defs, we'll make a clip path and give it an ID of my circle. Right? And this clip path will have a circle inside it. This specifies what is the clipping path. I mean, it's basically creating a mask, and with whatever you put inside it, it will make it of that shape only. It will cut it out into that shape. Okay, so we'll make a circular mask. CX will be 50% at the center. CY will also be at the center. And the radius will be equal to size by 2 minus 30. Yeah, we want it to be smaller than the external circle. Alright. And we'll fill it with white color. Okay, so this is done, and we'll create another clip path for the, this one is for the vinyl, and we'll create another one for the image of the song. This will have an ID of my inner circle. Again, you can simply copy this and paste it inside here, and just change the size of the circle. Alright, so this will do. Now after the defs, we'll add two image components, svg images, image. The class name would be based on playing. If it is playing, if this playing is true, then we'll add a class name of active here. We'll activate the rotating motion, else it won't be having any class. Alright, so the x value will be 30. The y value will also be 30. The width, we'll have to calculate the width, so it will be 2 into size divided by 2 minus 30. Alright, so it would be twice the twice the radius of this. Alright, this will be the size of the image, the width of the image. So basically, whatever we are just making the size, like this circle's diameter would be twice of this. Alright, so the image that should fit inside it should also be of that width and that height only. Alright, so we're keeping the width of twice of the radius. That means the diameter. Alright. Similarly, the height will also be the same. So we'll just copy this width and paste it inside height. Then we'll give an edge here and close the image. We'll give another image. The class name would be the same. Everything would be basically be the same. We'll just change 30 to 100. Yeah. This 30 will become 100. This 30 will also become 100, 100, and the last 100. And let's close this. So we're getting an enough. Alright, so this is done. We'll just simply add a URL for here, the the song image here, and vinyl record here, and our progress circle will be done. Alright, and you cannot see it, but it's inside that. Alright, so I'll quickly go ahead and add the images. Alright, so the vinyl record that we're going to add is this image. And another thing that we have to add is the clip path here. We have to mention the clipping path. So the clip path would be my circle for this, the outer vinyl record. Hashtag my circle, and the clip path for this one will be hashtag my inner circle. Alright, let's go and check it out. Yeah, so we are getting the vinyl record here, and it's currently not playing, but we have set the audio player to be true. This playing is to be true. Okay, we haven't added the active class yet. We quickly add it, and then we can see the image rotation too. We'll add it once we'll, first of all, let's add the image source here. Alright, so we'll make image, import it as a prop, and let's go ahead inside the audio player and add our image form. Alright, so the image was inside the current track dot album dot images, the zeroth element, and dot URL. Alright, we add the checks if it's present. Alright, so this is working fine. It's not getting into a circle, so we'll quickly check it out. What is happening? Okay, I got it. And I mean, this is not the right way to add the clip path. So how we do it is we write URL inside the brackets. We add the my circle. Similarly, there also we will add URL inside the brackets. We'll add my inner circle. Let's get rid of this. Save it. This is still not working. Yeah, maybe that is because of, okay, I've added a hashtag here. Now you can see these are both. The last thing that we need to do is to rotate this if it's playing this too. Alright, so for that we'll make an active class for image not active, and here we'll add an animation of rotation 30 seconds. It will take 30 seconds to do a complete circle. Infinite to spin it infinitely, and linear. And the transform origin, we'll set the transform origin again to 50-50 so that it just rotates wherever it is. Okay, now to make this rotation animation, we'll make a keyframe, call it rotation, from transform rotate 0 degrees to transform rotate 359 degrees. Okay, from 0 to 359. Now if you check, it will spin all around the circle. Alright, so this is done. Now the next thing that we'll do is we'll create the control bar here and all the things that we need. So let's go back to the audio pair, and inside the right body, let's start adding the things. So inside the right body, firstly we'll have a p tag. We'll give it a class name of song title, and it will have the current track or title. Alright, now the title it is called name. The next thing will be we'll display the artist. So for the artist, we'll again create a similar thing that we did earlier. We'll create all the artists. So we'll create an artist, which will be displaying the artist. We'll give it a class name of song artist. Now it will have artists dot join, and we'll join it to the this symbol. Alright, let's quickly go ahead and check. Alright, so this is working fine. It's showing us bangers only and then no hits. So the next thing is after this we'll display the duration of the song. So let's add another div here with a class name of player right bottom, the bottom part of this. Inside this, we'll be having a p tag with a class name of duration, and it will having a initially let's just keep it. So now let's just keep it 0.01 to begin with. Then we'll be adding a waveform animation here. So let's call it wave animation, and then again let's add duration at the end. Alright, the total duration. Now let's keep it 30 seconds. And at the end of this, after the whole wave animation and the duration, clear right bottom. Alright, okay. So we'll add this inside another div, the whole duration to part, and we give it a class name of song duration. Alright, and after the song duration, inside the div, we'll add the controls component. This will be a component that we're going to create now. Alright, and as we can already tell, it will be having is playing, because it will tell if the song is currently being played or not. Set is playing. Handle next, handle Prev, and the total number of songs to check if we have reached the end or not. Alright, so these are all currently not being created. We'll be importing all of these from the once we have we'll be creating all these states once we are done with this component. Initially, let's focus on the UI only. Alright, so we'll create two more components inside the audio player. First one will be the wave animation. Wave animation. Okay, let's check it out. Wave animation is not defined. Let's go ahead inside the audio player and import these controls and the wave animation. Okay, so we have the wave animation. Let's quickly go ahead. Song duration flex. Alright, so we're having the controls. Now let's style the wheels. So our player right body. Let's again open the player audio player CSS on the right. Let's go back to audio player, and inside the player right body, first of all, let's make it a flex. Save this. Now inside this, it will be next direction column, because we want it one under the other. Justify content, space evenly, and align items to the center. Alright, this is looking good. Now let's style the text. So first of all, let's go ahead and target the song title. The song title. So the song title will be having a text align of center. The font size would be quite big, so the font size will be 58 pixels. The font weight would be bold. Let's reduce the margins to 0 pixels. The color will be same as most of our headings, the sea
the overflow of this text will be hidden, and we'll clamp the lines to 2 so that it doesn't take much space. So as you remember, do is you can make a global class called line clamp 2, and then you can add it simply because you're using it in multiple places. Instead of writing it again and again, you can keep it inside the global styles. All right. Okay, so this is what it looks like. Now let's style the artist part. So we'll go ahead and write song artist. The color will be a bit less vibrant than the title, so it will be 9AA 9C2. The font size will also be lesser. The font size will be 14 pixels, and the font weight will be 500. Okay, this is what it looks like. So now we'll go to and we'll make our playwright bottom a flex container. Now let's target the playwright bottom. Right bottom, the bottom part which holds the wave animation, the duration, and the controls. So this will be a display flex, and the align items will be center. The width would be 100% width. Right, so and we'll do the flex direction as a column, so that it comes one under the other. Okay, so this will be flex direction column. Okay, so these are aligned to the center, and the flex direction is column. Whenever the flex direction is column, align items work towards the horizontal alignment, and once it's whenever it's row, align items work towards the vertical alignment. All right. So since we did align items, it brought it all to the center, horizontal center. Since the flex direction is column here. All right. Now let's go to the song duration part. Song duration is already a flex, so we can write song duration. Give it a width of 50% and justify content of space between. Sorry, space between, and a margin bottom of 20 pixels. Also, since like I told you, flex direction is row, so align items here will work towards the vertical alignment. Align item center, so these are vertically aligned. All right. So after this, we'll go ahead and style these the durations, and then we'll make the wave animation. So since we have given the class name duration to both the durations, we'll go and target duration. The font size would be 20 pixels. The font weight would be 700, and the margins would be 0. Let's make the margin 0 and color it with C4 D0 E3. Alright, this is what it looks like. Now let's go ahead and make the wave animation. So the wave animation is a component. Let's open it here. So it's already there. Sorry. And open the CSS part here. Alright. So what our wave animation would be, it would be a pack of divs, multiple divs stacked one after the other in a row fashion, and we'll add different animations to each of the block. So just so it looks like a different wave. All right. So we'll be making 13 boxes. So maybe more, it's up to you how many boxes you want to make. So first of all, we give the main class name of box container. Since it would be the container of all the wave boxes, then inside this we'll make different divs for each wave,
So there would be an empty div, and the class name would be, we'll all be having a common class called, not a common class, but yeah, a common class called box, and they'll be having a different, different class name called box 1, box 2, box 3, and so on for each of the animations, so that we can apply different animations to each of them. So since whenever the song will be playing, then only the wave would be activated. So we'll also make an active class for this. So for that active class, what we'll do is we'll make a constant called wave class, and we'll set it to, we'll check if the song is playing is true. Then the class will be box and active, else it will be just box. Alright, so we'll have to import is playing, and we'll have to send is playing here too. Is playing is equal to is playing. Alright, we'll be making this state soon. So for now, let's just, alright, we quickly go ahead and make the state also. So inside the player, we'll be sending is playing, since let's set it to true for now. Alright, inside the audio player around with the current track, we'll have is playing now, and we'll send it to the next screen. Alright, so inside the wave animation, we'll come here and add the, first of all, we'll add the class wave class, and along with this, we'll add box 1. Let's copy this, paste it. Alright, this will be box stuff. Alright, now let's go ahead and make these classes and style them. Alright, so the first thing will be the box container. So inside the box container, we'll add a display of flex. Okay, for display flex, we can simply add the class flex here. So now the box container is a flex. The next thing will be justify content, and it will be space between. A height of 54 pixels, and so you must not, if you don't know what CSS variables are, so CSS variables are basically simple variables, just like we create this wave class a constant. So you can create CSS variables also, and whichever file you have imported it in, once declared it in, you can use it all across the CSS file. So how they are declared with 2 dash, and you can simply give it any name. So I'll write box size, because we'll be using the same box size in the in the separate box the CSS also. So we'll make it 4 pixels. Sorry, 4 pixels. And the next thing will be the gutter. That means the space between each box. Alright, so it will be 8 pixels. And we'll calculate the width of the whole box by calculating these lengths. Alright, so we will be writing width will be equal to calculating. How you use a CSS variable is like this: variable, and inside the parentheses you can write the name of the variable. So it will be box size plus variable gutter, and multiply the whole thing by 13. So this will be another parenthesis covering these, and we'll be having 13 boxes, so it will be into 13. Alright, so as you can see, we have 13 different boxes, and they have a 4 pixel gap between each of them. Alright, so after this we'll be making the box class. The box class, so it will be it will have a transform Arigatō, so that whenever you have to animate it, you can add the, so it will be scale to 0.4%. Okay. Whenever the animation will be, subdued, like it stopped, then we'll be scaling it and making all the way small so that it looks like a straight line. And whenever the animation is activated again, we'll scale it to a different way. I mean, we'll say scale each box differently so that it looks like a wave animation being happening. Okay. So the height will be the complete height of the box, so that will be 100%. And the width of each box will be a variable, and the variable will be box size. All right. The background for now, let's keep it a simple color, but later on we'll for now let's keep it white. Later we'll add a linear gradient to it, and the border radius. It's up to you if you want to add border radius or not. I'll add a border radius so that the rounds are, the edges are curved, so it will be 18 pixels. All right. Yeah, you can see each of the wave is being formed. Now let's make an active class. So it will be box active for the active class, and add the animation duration. We have the animation already in place. We'll add the animation separated to all these class, box and box also, but they will not be in effect until we add a duration and all the criteria for animation. So it will be 1.2 seconds. Sorry, this would be animation duration. Animation duration will be 1.2 seconds. The animation timing function will be an ease in out, out, and the animation interaction count will be infinite. Why is it coming like this? Oh, sorry, not interaction, iteration. Iteration count would be infinite. Now, since no animation is added yet, this is like this. We'll quickly add the animations to these. So we'll be creating 3 types of animation. One would be quiet, one would be normal, and one would be loud. So let's quickly add all of these animations to different boxes. The first box will be the animation name, and we'll give it quiet. All right, let's copy this box and paste it. Box is right, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 7. So 7. This will be box 2. The animation will be normal. I made all these animations. So the first animation will be the quiet animation. So we'll write keyframes, name it quiet. So this will be at 25% of the time. It will transform, and we'll scale it to a 0.6 of the original height. Then at 50% of the duration, we'll transform it to 0.4%, and at 75% we'll transform again and scale it to 0.8%. Alright, this will be the quiet animation. You can copy this whole thing, paste it again, let's change this to normal. So 25% for the normal one, we'll scale it to the 1. At 50%, we'll scale it to 0.4 only, and at 75%, we'll scale it to 0.6. Finally, the loud animation, this will be named loud. So as it is loud, this will be having the most highest variation. So this will be 1, this will be 0.4, and this will be 1.2. Save this. Okay, this is not yet working. Let's quickly see what's happening here. Alright, so box active is true, and we have sent is playing to be true from there. So this should be box active only. Let's go here and inspect the element. See what classes are being applied. So in the left body, the player body, in the right body, we have the song duration. Inside that, we have the box intended. Alright, so is playing is not being set to true yet. So we are sending is playing here, we are sending is playing from here also, and is playing is coming from the player component, and we have set it to true here. In the audio player, it's being sent as true. Is playing is coming as true here, and we are sending true again. Let's try sending true directly. Yeah. So as you can see, it is working. And at the very end, I'll try to add a gradient to this so that it looks better. I mean, white is too flashy. We'll add a bit of gradient to the boxes. All right. So in place of the color, so this would be the linear gradient. I'll add all the links to all the resources that you can use for creating linear gradients, for creating CSS patterns, everything that I know. I'll add it to the description. You can make use of them, or you can simply copy the code from the Github repo. All right. So as you can see, this is what it looks like, and this is our wave done. So now let's quickly go ahead and make the controls. Before going into the controls, I think we should create all these functions and variables that are needed for making the control screen functional. All right. So the things that we will be importing from a previous screen would be this: the current track, the set current index, so that we can change the current song using this, and the total songs. All right. Now you can see that we have is playing, set is playing, and even my bad, set is playing won't be like this. This would be a state inside the screen only. We don't need to import it from anywhere. And one of the last thing that we'll need is the current index, the current track, and the current index also. So we'll have current index. Let's quickly go back to the previous screen, the player screen, and send all these things to the audio player. So we have current tracks, the current index, and the set current index. Alright. All four are being sent now. We can close player for now. Wave animation is also done. Control will go ahead and make it. Progress circle is done. Progress circle is done. Audio player and the audio player index circles. Alright. So these are the states that we are going to need. Total we are sending, and these are now. So we create all the states. Let's import use state here. We have use state. Now, the first state will be the is playing state, and set is playing. This will be use state, and initially it will be false. Alright. The next thing will be the progress. Track progress, so that we can track the progress of the current track that is being playing. Set track progress. It will be a integer, and we'll say use state is 0. Right. Then we'll create a variable called audio source. This will hold the audio source, that means the source that is being played right now. Alright, the URL of the song that is being played. We'll get it from the. So what this will be, the total initially at the first render, this will be total, which will hold all the songs. The current index of that, I mean, whichever song is currently being played. Out of this, we'll check if it has the track inside it. Alright, and inside the track, we have a preview URL. So Spotify doesn't give you the whole song, it just gives you a preview URL, and the preview URL is just a 30-second worth of video. That's why I set the duration to be 30 seconds, final duration, and this will be the track progress. Alright, so this will be a preview URL, and for this is not available for all the songs, but you can have, I mean, if you are using another library or another source for songs, then you can just simply replace it with here and it will play all the songs. Alright, so we'll be creating a functional audio player, but this will be only be a 30-second worth of audio. Alright, then we'll be creating certain references to hold. So the first ref will be an audio ref. This will be used to play the audio and to stop it. So this will be called audio ref, and what it will be is use ref. It will use this hook called use ref. So let's import use ref also. And what it will hold is, it will create a new audio, and for the first part, it will, for the first song, I mean, it will be using, we can take this only. Initially, since this won't be, I mean, the value won't be initialized initially always, so this might give an error. That's why we're using the first song. I mean, whenever you'll enter this, the audio ref will be initialized with the first song. Then when you change the current index, it will be changed and the audio source will be changed. Alright, and we'll be changing the audio ref, the current value of the use ref to the current audio source inside a use effect. Alright, I'll show you all. It might be, it might seem a bit confusing, but let's go ahead and see how it is going to work. Alright, the next would be an interval ref. This will be used for changing the interval. Another thing will be is ready. This will check if our song is ready to be played. Alright, I mean, it will check whenever we have a song in place or not, and initially it will be set to false. Alright, so we'll have constant duration. We'll destructure duration out of the audio ref. The current. Alright, since this is a song, so every song has a duration object inside. Already having total here, right? Okay, let's go back to the previous screen from where it is coming from. So inside the index should be having a total. So from a player, we are sending a. Okay, alright. This is my bad. We're not sending total from here, that's why it's not coming. So we'll create another. Don't need is playing. I thought we are sending total. And from the total, we can send all the tracks. Alright. Now if you check, it's coming. Alright. So destructuring the duration out of the audio, the current object, will get the entire duration of the song that is inside the audio right now. Alright. So using the duration, we can calculate the current percentage, which we'll be sending it inside the progress element. Alright. So we'll create a constant called current percentage, and this will be equal to, this will check if we have a duration. If we have a duration, that means we have a song inside the audio ref. Then we'll write track progress divided by the entire duration. Okay, this would be a parenthesis of another curly braces. and into 100. This will give us the percentage. All right. Else, if there is no duration, it will be 0%. All right. So inside the percentage now, you can write current percentage. All right. So the next thing what we'll do is we'll create a timer function. All right. Whenever a song will start playing, we'll start up a timer for that. All right. So we write start timer. This will be a function. Inside the function, first of all, we clear any interval that is being present. All right. If there is an interval inside the interval ref, so then we'll clear it. Inside the current, if there is an interval present, we'll simply clear it all. Else, what we'll do is when the interval the current is equal to set interval, and inside this we'll check if audio ref is present. The audio ref, all right, the audio ref dot current has ended. If the audio ref has ended, we'll do handle next. We'll simply go to the next song. Else, we'll simply set the track progress. Set track progress with the audio ref dot current time, and the duration for this will be every second. This will be a 1 second interval. All right, 1000 milliseconds, also 1 second. So what we are doing here is we'll check if the audio ref has ended, then it will simply go to the next song, and if it is not ended, then it will set the track progress. Okay, so it's an interval for just setting the track progress, so you can display it and change the change the progress bar. All right. So the start timer function is done. So the next thing what we'll do is we'll create a use effect here. Inside the use effect, we'll check if is playing. If the song is playing and we have an audio ref that current. If the song is playing and we have a song, I mean, if you have set the is playing button, I mean, if you press the play button and we have a song already present, then what we'll do is audio ref dot current will set the audio ref dot current to a new audio oh my bad, a new audio, and we'll use the audio source that we created, audio source variable, because audio source variable uses the current index. If you change the current index, then the audio, this will be the for the initially the value would be the first song of the series, and after you change the current index, it will change to the audio source. All right, so whenever the is playing button is changed, we'll see we'll add is playing as a dependency here. We'll check for it. We'll set the current value of audio ref to the current track, and we'll audio ref dot current dot play. We'll play the song. Now, if it is not present, then we'll simply write the else statement. We'll clear the interval. Interval ref dot current, and we'll pause the song. Okay, because there is no song, so we'll simply audio ref current dot pause it. Audio source. Okay. Now this was the first use effect. We'll create another use effect for setting the current track progress of the song. Alright. So whenever the current index is being changed, alright, if we change the current index, that means then a new song is being added and we have to remove the previous song from the interval and everything. We have to clear the previous song and start a new song. All right. So inside the use spec, the first thing that we'll do is we'll do audio ref dot current dot pause. We'll pause the song. Then we'll set the audio ref dot current to the new song. So it will be new audio and the audio source will be the source of the audio source, and we'll play the new song. Audio ref dot current dot play. Alright. So whenever the current index changes, we're simply pausing the previous song, adding the new song to the audio ref and playing it. Alright. And after this, okay, just a second. In the previous use spec, after playing this, after playing the new song, we'll also start the timer. So we'll run the start timer. What start timer will do it will after every second it will check if the song is finished. If the song is finished, it will take us to the next song. If the song is not finished, it will simply set the track progress. All right, so that we can calculate the current percentage. Okay, all right, we are here. Before playing this, what we'll do is we'll go to the audio ref that current time. Current. All right, so we'll set the track progress to the current time. All right, set. After changing the time, you'll create the new audio, and since the track progress would have been something in between or maybe towards the end, so that we'll set it with the new track progress. All right, progress, which will be 0 initially. All right. After this, we'll check first of all audio ref is ready. The is ready. We'll check if our song is ready to be played. So is ready dot current, which is a use ref which we did. It was initially false. All right. Then if it's ready, we'll play the audio, and then we'll set the is playing to true. Set is playing to true, and we'll start the timer again. Now the else statement, if it is not already true, so like initially we have set the is ready state to be false. So if it's false, then we'll set the is ready state to be. So we'll say is ready dot current is equal to true. All right. Based on current index, this will change the everything. All right. This will be run whenever the current index changes. This will be run whenever we play the new song. We press the play pause button. All right. So the next use effect would be a cleanup use effect. So whenever we are leaving the screen, it will simply clean up our clean up the intervals and the track from the audio. All right. So that it doesn't take any extra spaces. So we'll write use effect. We go to a use effect snippet so that we already have a return statement inside it. All right, you remove the dependencies because this is just a cleanup. When it will be run whenever the component is dismounted. All right, so we'll write audio ref dot current dot pause. We'll pause when you whichever song would be running when we clear the interval, so that there's no interval running. This will be a cleanup function, cleanup use effect. It says error indication argument. Oh, sorry. You quickly go ahead and write the use effect. Okay. Now let's go ahead and create the handle next and handle prep function. So handle next. get constant handle next is equal to. So inside the handle next, first of all we'll check if current index is less than total dot length, alright, minus 1. So if we want to go to the next song, the current index should be less than 1, alright. So because if there are 5 songs and you're on 5, you cannot go to the 6th song. You have to go to the first song again, the 0th index. So if it's less, only when the current index is less than the total length, then we'll set the current index to current index plus 1, alright. Else we'll set the current index whenever it will be, it will be greater than 0. At that position we'll set the current index to be 0, alright. Whenever it's on the last song, we'll set it to 0 and go, so that it goes back to the first song again. Now we'll have a constant handle Prev. So in the previous, we'll check if the current position is not less than the, it's not the first song. If it's the first song, we'll simply go back to the last song, alright. So we'll check if current index minus 1, we're checking if we go back one index if it's less than 0, alright. Then we set the current index to total minus 1, alright. And else we'll set the current index to current index minus 1. So what we are doing here is we are checking if the current index minus 1 is less than 0. So if you are on the first song and you says if you check that 1 minus 1 is 0, it's not less than 0. So you will set the current index to current index minus 1. So it will go to the 0th song. If it's already on the 0th song, it will check that 0 minus 0, 0 minus 1 will be minus 1. It's less than 0. So the current index will be the total length minus 1. That means the last index. So it will go back again to the last one. Alright. Simple logic. And now let's quickly go ahead and uncomment all these. So we have all the functions ready now. And we can see if our song is being played. Alright, so we can simply go ahead and make this spot true. Since we don't have the controls yet, we can set this to. So the song is playing, you can see. Alright, there's something wrong that we are not getting the progress here. So we can quickly go ahead and check it out. Alright, so how can check it? You can see current, we can log the current percentage. Current percentage. Log it. Okay, it's working. Alright. Perfect. So our progress is also working and the song is also being played. Alright. The only thing is that it's not coming here. So let's quickly fix that. Alright. So our duration is basically a float value. So what we'll do is we'll go into the where we're logging the duration. Alright. Here. After this, we'll write math.round and we'll add the track progress here. Okay, we are getting an error. Alright, we got to close this out. Alright. Yeah, you can see that it's coming 0, 3, 4, 5 now. But what we want to do is we want to add a 0 in front of this whenever it's less than 0. So there is a function, a small function you can create for adding a 0 whenever it's less than 9. Alright. So you can create a function, a simple function. You create a simple function called const add 0, and to this you'll this will take a number n, and it will check return. It will check if n is greater than 9. Then it won't return anything, and simply add a blank and plus the number. Alright. Else it will add a 0 and plus the number. So before this math.round, you can write add let's name it add 0 and not add zeros, which it's the wrong spelling, obviously. We're adding just 1 0. So it will be add 0, and we have this inside add 0. Yeah, perfect. So the only thing left is we'll create the controls now. Alright, so let's go ahead and make the control screen. Control things with the, you can take the control CSS right side. Alright, so our controls is having all the states that we are passing here. So let's restructure the props. Is playing, comma set is playing, comma handle next, and the handle Prev function. Save this. So this will be using 4 icons: the next icon, the previous icon, and the play and pause icon. So we'll be importing all of those from the React icons only. So let's quickly start creating. So the first thing that we'll do is we'll import the icon context so that we can style our icons. Import icon context from React icons. Now let's go ahead and wrap our whole component inside the icon context. Alright. It will be returned icon context by provider. Grab everything inside that. Take this inside. Okay. So it will have the value prop. And the value prop will have the size. The size would be 35 pixels. And the color will be the same color as the heading text. So it will be hashtag C4D0E3. Save this quickly. So the first div will have a class name of controls wrapper with a small w, as that's the convention we have been using. So inside the control wrapper, we'll have 3 buttons mainly. So the first button will be just make it a div, and it will be an action button. Inside this we'll have an icon. So this will be the previous button, and on clicking on this, we'll be calling function handle Prev. So inside this we'll be using the icon called IO play skip back. This is the icon that we are going to use for this. Close this. Again, let's copy this, paste it again, and this will use call the function handle next. Alright, this will be the next button. And we'll add the play pause button in the middle. Alright, so this will be placed with forward. You can use these icons, or you can explore the React icons library that I'll paste the link in the description. You can explore it and use the icon, whichever icon you wish to use. Alright, so the last part would be the play button. Alright, so this will be a div the class name, and this will be called a play pause button. All right, and on clicking on this, you'll be setting the is playing to the on click. We'll set the set is playing to the reverse of is playing. Whatever is playing is, we set it to the opposite of it. All right, and the icon that is going to hold this for now. Let's just add the play button. All right, so it will be where is it? There. IO play. The icons are added. Let's quickly import the icons from the library. Import. It will be IO play skip back. IO play skip forward. IO play. This will be small L and a small L. From React icons plus IO. IO fine. Let's save it and okay, we have an error in our hands. Let's go to the console and it said cannot update by rendering as well. It's like controls. Data state is being set in the wrong way, I guess. That's why it's causing this error. Right, we'll be okay. Cannot directly call a state here. My bad. Refresh this quickly. And you can see we have this is playing the song. This is taking us to the next song. This is taking us to the okay, something is wrong with the previous button. I'll quickly fix it. Something is off. A lot of songs are being played at once and not stopping. We'll fix that once we create all the UI of this. All right. So the buttons are in place, and we'll go ahead and create the all the other functions. All right. All right. So if we see, we'll start by creating the CSS first. So the control wrapper. Control wrapper. It will be having a width of 80%, a margin of 0 pixels. But the display flex will be added here because we want them to be side by side. The display flex. Alright, this will be too much. We can keep it to be 60. Alright, maybe less would be fine too. And display flex. Align the items to the center and justify all the contents evenly. Alright, these are all in place and they are being justified evenly. So it will be action button. The width would be 50 pixels. Height will also be 50 pixels. The border radius will be a 20 pixel border radius. We'll add a flex to these. Align the items to the center. Justify the content to the center so that all the icons are in the center, and we want the cursor to be a pointer. You can see the icons are these are working. Let's quickly refresh it so that the song starts. Alright. So the next thing is we'll add an hover effect to this so that we know that we are hovering over the. So this will be hover, and whenever we just add a transform and scale it a bit. Scale it up by a factor of 0.1. Simple. Now we know that we are hovering over the sound. Alright. Now we'll go ahead and style the play pause button. Play pause button. The play pause button will be a bigger button and it will be having a width of 70 pixels and a height of 70 pixels too. A border radius 20 pixels. A background color of the background color will be C9 C9 6850. It will also be a flex. Align the items center. Justify content center. And the cursor to be a pointer. Okay, so this is what it looks like. And to this also we'll add a hover effect and add a transform. Similar thing. So you can simply copy this, paste it here, and instead of action button, we can write play pause button. And if we hover over this now, it's also scaling. And to make the scaling smooth, we can write transition all 0.2 seconds and ease in out. And the same thing, we can add this also. Transition all, ease in out. This is pretty smooth. So what I want to add is I want to add a Neumorphic effect to this button. Alright, it looks good this way also, but you can add a Neumorphic style too. So for Neumorphism, I'm using Figma. I've created a button, and it makes this very easy to simply add all the. So what we'll go is we'll go here. I've already created this. I'll create separate tutorials for these buttons, how to create such buttons. You can go here and simply go to inspect and copy the box shadow. If I copy this box shadow, go back to our app, and in the play pause button, if I paste this, you can see that we have a 3D button here. So as simple as that. So now whenever we press on this button and it's in the active state, we'll use this one. So it's like a press button. So we'll copy this box shadow also and create an active class. So whenever it will be play pause button dot active, we'll add this shadow. Alright, simple as that. Now let's quickly create our classes, change our classes here. So instead of this, we can make a conditional statement here. If is playing is true, then make it active. Else, just make it play pause button and flex. If you play this, it will go to this. You can see it automatically creates a effect of pressing. Alright, this is a very easy thing to do, and I'll quickly explain you in a future Figma tutorial that will be coming soon. Okay, and to make this transition even smoother, you can add transition or we've already added it. Alright. So we're done with the controls part. No, it's not done. Actually, there's something wrong with the wrapper itself. So the control wrapper, okay, it's controls wrapper. Oh, sorry, my bad. It's a very rookie mistake that I've done. Yeah, all right. So these are a bit too far. We can quickly go ahead and make this to be 50%. All right. Yeah, this is fine. These are the next buttons, and this is all. So now we can see it's not going to the previous song. It's going to the next song. It's going to the next song. The previous button is not working. The next button is working. And what is happening is it's not stopping the previous song. It's not going to the, and we have also not added the pause button. All right, a lot of things to do. I'll quickly import a pause button too. So the pause button we'll use is import. You can refresh this so that the song stops. FA pause from React icons /FA, and inside the IO play we'll add another condition again. If this playing is true, we'll add FA pause, else we'll add FA play. If this playing is not defined, so sorry, my bad, this playing. Alright, if you play this, it goes back to this song. Alright, now this is working. So what we'll do is, firstly let's see why the previous is not working. So if you go to handle Prev, we can see that, okay, there's this setting which will be set current index. So if we quickly check, we're going to the previous song. Yeah, previous is working, next is also working. The problem is that it's not stopping the previous song. Okay, so let's go ahead and check our play button. So whenever we are playing, it's checking if the audio current is there and it's creating a new audio source. Alright, so this might be creating a problem that every time the previous audio source is not being removed and a new is being added, even when there was one present. Okay, so instead of this, what we can do is we can quickly create another if statement and nest this one inside that. So instead of adding it inside an and, we can check it out here. Alright, we can add the audio current here, and even the current is sometimes present, so you can check if the source is present. If a source for playing is present, then you can add all these conditions inside that statement. Alright, and if it's present or source is already present, you don't need to add this. You can comment this out. First, let me copy this. You can remove this statement. Alright, and if like this was our if statement, and inside the else, if the audio source is not present, then you can add this one. It will check again check if it is playing, then it will create a new audio source with the audio source present. So let's test this out now. So if you go to the library screen, you go to the, if you play, you can see it starts playing. And if you go to the next one, it doesn't overlap the sounds and creates a new sound. Okay, so this is fixed, and you can see our controls panel is also done. It's pausing, it's going back, it's going front. Okay, the only thing is that whenever you pause, this is not stopping. Alright, so this can be fixed by, if we go to our wave animation. Alright, this is set to true. Instead of this, we can set when it's playing. When you pause, it just pauses. When you play, plays. Alright, so this is all of this is now working. The only thing is that this has a lot of space, empty space, so we can go ahead and check it out. Alright, what is happening here? So that was to go here and inside the player right body. Quickly go to the body player CSS player right body. It has a width of this, quick right common, and it is spaced evenly. Alright, a lot of empty space, so we can quickly check it out. Space between works. Yeah, so space between is also taking a lot of space, so it's better if we keep it space evenly. The only thing that will cause an issue in space evenly is that whenever the song's title is big, like if you use this one, then it will shift all our controls to the bottom, and we don't like, and it should be fixed to the bottom every time. So you can, I think we should go ahead and use space between only. This way, even if we change anything, it won't change much. Only the title and the name change. The controls will always simply remain at the same space. Alright, even if we change anything. Yeah, this is fine. Also, I can see that there is a lot of space here. This is a lot of empty space, so you can fix the height of this whole container so that this doesn't get that much space. It's taking a lot of empty space and it doesn't require that much. So we can simply set the height of this a bit lesser. Alright, so the height is 44%. We can set it to 40%. Yeah, with 40% height, this everything looks fine. Even watermelon sugar would yeah, there's going to be more extra empty space. So this component is done.
And in the next video, so that's all for this video. This was a very long video. In the next video, we'll be creating the widget card here, and it will have similar cards like these, but we'll be adding a color change hue rotation property, which is a very awesome property. So stay tuned for that. I'll be posting it soon. All right. That's all for this video. Thank you for watching, and stay tuned for the next video. Thank you, developers.